1000 kg of producer is enough for 100 kg of herbivores to eat. Now these 100 kg of herbivores are enough for a primary carnivore to eat, that is of 10 kg. And now this 10 kg primary carnivore is enough to feed a 1 kg top carnivore. Now energy efficiency. See, when we are talking about energy, we are talking about the energy of sun. So when we are more close to a food chain, or we are at the starting level of the food chain, it means that we will get more energy from the sun. So this thing is good to know for a person who is in agriculture, so that they can grow the right crop. So if we want to get more energy from the sun, we have to eat from the initial levels from the food chain. And what are at the initial level of food chain? That are of course producers. So which producers we can eat? We can, like our staple foods that are wheat, potatoes, rice. They have more energy and they are more close to the initial level of the food chain, and when we eat them we can get more energy from the sun. So if we come on like grass has more energy, but we cannot eat grass. Why we cannot eat grass? Because we cannot digest grass because of the cellulose in it, but cattle can digest that cellulose. So we eat the cattle to get the energy of the grass. Now there are one more point is here, that if we talk about soybean, or if we talk about protein, more protein is present than in soybean than in any animal. Okay, so if we are talking about more energy, you might be thinking that in animals there are more fats, there are more proteins, and we are eating, so why producers have more energy? See, the energy I'm talking about carbon, basically. So carbon is a part of protein, carbon is a part of fat. So protein, fat, lipids, whatever we talk about, the backbone is carbon. And from where this carbon is coming? From the sun. So more and more, if we are close to the starting level of the food chain, we will get more energy. Now, after producers and consumers, we have decomposers. Decomposers are the organisms that feed on waste material and dead matter. They finish the dead matter. When the organism is dead, they finish that, and they releases the substance from that dead organisms, and they return it to the atmosphere. So which substances I'm talking about? I'm talking about two substances, that is carbon and nitrogen. So to understand that, we should learn carbon cycle as well as nitrogen cycle. So we have to maintain the balance of each in the atmosphere. So if we are taking it, it means we have to return it as well. So if we talk about carbon cycle, in carbon cycle, carbon is coming from the atmosphere. And here, this picture is from the book. I'm sorry for the bad quality here. This carbon is coming from the atmosphere, and this carbon is taken by plants, and during photosynthesis this carbon is turned to glucose, and it is stored in the plants. Now at night, when the process is reversed, during respiration this glucose is converted into carbon and it is released outside, because we know in the morning they take in carbon dioxide and at night they give out carbon dioxide. So this is how plants are taken in the carbon dioxide as well as returning the carbon dioxide. Now when this glucose is becoming a part of plant, now this plant is eaten by the cattle. So the carbon goes to the cattle, and this cattle, when it respires, it will give out the carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere. Now when this cattle has died, these decomposers will work on that dead animal. They will decompose the dead animal and they will release the carbon dioxide out. So here we have some fossil fuels. Here we have some coal, gasoline, petroleum and all. When we burn them, they are sources of carbon actually. So when we burn them, through combustion, the carbon is returned back to the atmosphere. This is how the balance of carbon is maintained, it is balanced. But deforestation and excessive burning, this can disturb the carbon cycle. The second is nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is present 74% in the air in the form of nitrogen gas. But nitrogen gas is not in the form that animals and plants can use it. So nitrogen should be converted into ammonia. This is nitrogen N2 gas. It should be converted into ammonia, or it should be converted into nitrates. So to convert it into ammonia and nitrates, there are three things that can be done. This nitrogen and this turning of nitrogen to ammonia and nitrogen to this ammonia to nitrates is called nitrogen fixation. This nitrogen fixation can be done by lightning, can be done by fertilizers, and can also be done by nitrogen fixing bacteria. So how through lightning it can be done? When there is lightning, the nitrogen in the atmosphere N2 is reacted with oxygen, making it oxides of nitrogen, and this nitrogen oxide is then dissolved in the rain and gets in contact with the soil, and there it is turned into ammonia and nitrates. Now fertilizers. The fertilizers are the products that increase the fertilization of plants, and in industries, nitrogen and hydrogen are reacted together to make ammonia. Now, what nitrogen fixing bacteria does? Nitrogen fixing bacteria are present in the roots of some plants. These bacteria, what do? They are called nitrogen fixing bacteria, and they are turning this N2 nitrogen into ammonia. Now, this ammonia is turned to nitrites and nitrates by nitrifying bacteria. So there are two bacteria in the soil. One bacteria is present in the root of the plant, that is nitrogen fixing bacteria, and the other is present in the soil, which is called nitrifying bacteria. Nitrogen fixing bacteria is basically turning nitrogen gas to ammonia, and nitrifying bacteria is turning this ammonia to nitrites and nitrates, and these nitrates and nitrites are now ready for a plant to use, which becomes the part of their cell, their tissue, and when the animal will come eat it, now this nitrogen is turned into now gone to the animal, and when that animal releases waste products, that ammonia, because it will be in the form of ammonium compounds like urea and ammonia, when they are released on the ground, ammonia is returned to the soil, and then again this ammonia is converted by nitrifying bacteria to nitrate and nitrite, and plants can use it. Now this one more bacteria is present, that is called denitrifying bacteria. See, now the nitrogen that was coming from the atmosphere has been used by plants. Now it is time for us to return that nitrogen. To return that nitrogen, we have denitrifying bacteria. Denitrifying bacteria reverses the work that is done by nitrifying bacteria, which means that it removes this oxygen from the nitrites and nitrates and convert it back into nitrogen gas, which is returned to the atmosphere. Now birth rate and death rate. See, population is the size of population. How do we determine the size of population? Population size can be determined if we will see the population is increasing, which means the birth rate is increasing or the death rate is increasing. So and we can also calculate population by emigration and immigration. Emigration means people leaving the population. Emigration means people leaving the population or organisms leaving the population, And immigration means the organisms that are coming in the population. Now, birth rate. If the birth rate is more, the death rate will be, and the death rate is less. It means more people are being born than the people that are dying. If more people are being born and less are dying, it means the population will increase. But if the scenario is opposite, where birth is less and death is more, the population will decrease. If both are same, means if two people are born and two people died, it means the number will be the same. So this is just an experiment to see the population, to control to see the number of population. Growing yeast cells in nutrient broth. We have taken yeast and we are putting it into the nutrient broth, and hourly the number of cells was checked. So you see the first phase, this is the lag phase. Lag phase means that their growth is not as much because the cells are preparing themselves to reproduce. Then we have log or exponential growth phase, where the growth is much and the reproduction is more. So it means two cells are dividing into 4, 4 into 8 and so on. So the growth here is, reproduction here is more. Now we come on to the stationary phase. Stationary phase means the birth and the death rate are same. So when birth and death rate are same, the population remains stable. But here we have death phase or decline phase. Death or decline phase means that now maybe the food is not enough, the nutrient pot is not enough for the reproduction to continue or for the cells to continue to grow, so the cells are now dying. Now this factor which is making the cells to die, which is controlling the population, is called the limiting factor. So what is the limiting factor? It is a factor that limits the growth. Example, it can be food. Here in the case of yeast cell, we can say it is food. It can be shelter, like for example, if the growth of if there is a population of rabbit but they don't find burrows, so the shelter is not there and they are more vulnerable for the predator to be there and the predators can eat them. So limiting factors can be shelter, can be predator, can be food. There are different limiting factors. Here we have age pyramid. Age pyramid is this is the age pyramid of a developing country, and this is the age pyramid of Norway, which is an industrialized country. If we have more young people, they will reproduce more, and the population keep on increasing, which means the population is in millions. Because see, this is about this is the age group. Here we have the age group. When we have, see, the reproduction, the age of reproduction is 20 to 24, 25. From here to here, people can easily reproduce. And when they are reproducing, it means the lower category, this age group, is increasing. So when they keep on increasing, it means what will happen? The population, the pyramid will keep on growing and growing, and then it means the population is increasing. But here we have a stable number of age group of all the people. So here we will not have that much of population. So it means in developing country, population is more, while in industrialized country the population is stable. Now how we can control population? See, there are two things, as we said, birth rate and death rate. We cannot let all the people that are present already, we cannot tell them to die, but we can control the people that are being born. So in to control that, OCPs mean oral contraceptive pills should be used so that birth rate can be controlled. But in few religions it is forbidden, and so this can be a reason of increasing population. And then the reasons of increasing population is that there are less deaths. Earlier, when there was World War I, World War II, war was there, but now we don't have too much of war. And earlier there were not hygienic conditions, disease was much more than now, so people were dying. But here we have, now we have vaccines, we have antibiotics and other different methods, so the people can live more, so death rate is less.